I was on Charlie Rage's live the other day, and someone in his live mentioned that they can't do 3-hour long movies, that the longest I'll watch a movie is 2 hours, and sometimes that's pushing it. Now, look, that's their opinion, and not Charlie's opinion, but the person who jumped on Charlie's live opinion. And I'm not going to badmouth them. This isn't that video. But it got me really intrigued about 3-hour plus long movies. Especially since the same day that I jumped onto Charlie's live was the same day that I found out, it's the same day that I found out that Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese's new movie, is 3.5 hours long. Now, I like watching movies. I don't really care about the runtime, as long as the movie itself has a purpose to be as long as it needs to be. So, Killers of the Flower Moon, 3 hours, 26 minutes long. I'm going to see it because it's Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro. My seat's bought. I mean, not yet, but when tickets are released, it will be. So let's look at some movies that have a long runtime, right? So we got Oppenheimer, which is 3 hours long. Now, I saw Oppenheimer on its opening day in Australia. It felt like a 10-year-long movie. It was incredibly long, but it served its purpose because there is no way that movie could have been shortened. Now, obviously, it could have been longer, but in saying that, I think Nolan chose the 3-hour mark on purpose. So I get that some 3-hour-long movies can feel incredibly painful to sit through, but it was a biopic, true story, so it deserved a 3-hour runtime. So let's go to another movie. Then we got the 1999 film Magnolia. It's 3 hours, 8 minutes long. I haven't seen this one yet. It's on my watch list. It's essentially Earl Partridge and Jimmy Gator, both afflicted with a cancer, work together on a TV show. They live in a dysfunctional families, which affects their personal and professional lives. But it is on my watch list. I haven't seen it, but it's 3 hours, 8 minutes long. If you've got opinions of it, share it, because I don't. Another one is Babylon, which came out only just last year. It's a 3-hour, 9-minute run. Again, I haven't personally seen it, only because I saw the trailers and I was like, no. But that's kind of like standard-ish. Let's see what else I can find. So we've got James Cameron, who's supposedly notorious for making long-ass movies. So Avatar: The Way of Water, 3 hours, 12 minutes long. A lot of people seem to like Avatar. Again, not something I've seen personally, but a lot of people sat through Avatar. So let's see what else Cameron has done that's the 3-hour plus length. Cameron also did Titanic, which is 3 hours, 30 minutes long. I have seen Titanic. I found it incredibly boring, but that's my personal opinion. But the runtime suited it. You could not tell it was a 3-hour, 30-minute movie. Which is a really interesting thing to see, because apparently that is like the middle ground for a lot of James Cameron films. But again, that's hugely popular with getting constant re-releases at cinemas, getting constantly being told that, you must watch this before you die because it's one of cinema's beautiful films. It's quite popular for a 3-hour, 30-minute movie. So a 1983 film, a drama historical film called The Right Stuff, was 3 hours, 13 minutes long. And that was back in the 80s. So long films have always existed for as long as cinema has existed. Let's see if I can find some other older films and check their runtime. So we've got a 1975, I believe it's a French film. I could be wrong. So please correct me. 1975, the film that runs for 3 hours, 20 minutes long. Janine Delman, 23 Commerce Query, 1080 Brussels. I don't know what that film is, but it looks very interesting. A lonely widow turns to prostitution in order to make ends meet for her and her son. Things change when she kills one of her clients with a pair of scissors. So that was 3 hours, 20 minutes long, and that was in 1975. So we got this famous 1963 movie that stars Elizabeth Taylor. It runs at 3 hours, 53 minutes, which seems to be the longest romance war movie so far that I've found. Cleopatra. Again, Cleopatra is such a beautiful movie. I haven't seen it in its entirety. I've seen bits and pieces of it. But it is such a beautiful movie. And you've got not only Elizabeth Taylor in it, but you've also got Richard Burton. Two heavyweights in early cinema. And like I said, that was the 60s. So they've been making cinema long films for as long as, like I said, as cinema has existed. So I find it really interesting when people are like, I can't watch long-hour movies. It's like, but you have. You may have. And you may not have realized. Now, it also can come down to pacing. Because as I said earlier, Oppenheimer pacing felt incredibly long. But it was needed. Other movies you can watch that may run for 4 hours and you go, huh, and that felt like 10 minutes. That's good. Let's see if I can find other early cinema ones. So we're talking about all the way back to 1939. This film ran for 3 hours, 40 minutes. So it's just under the 4-hour mark. But another classic Hollywood movie that everybody worships the ground on, except recently it got dubbed as controversial due to its turnings from the late 30s, but Gone with the Wind. A lot of people sat through that one, and they probably had the same complaints back in the 30s going, oh man, it's too long, how are we going to do this? Mind you, in the 30s they had intermissions, whereas now it's like, if you need to pee, you need to walk out and miss like however long of the movie. Now this one is a newer release. It's a 2003 baby. And look, I know everybody loves this film franchise. I've seen this film franchise. I love it too. Let's check the runtime. And now this is the original theatrical release because it has been re-released. It has got a director's cut. It has got special editions release. So it all varies. But the original length time for the cinema release for Lord of the Rings Return of the King, 3 hours 21. Now, if you look at the Blu-ray extended edition, 4 hours 23. The special DVD edition, 4 hours 15. Everybody worships the ground that Lord of the Rings on. I personally have no issues with its runtime. But like I say, you know, it's an interesting thing to have when people are like, oh, I can't watch a 3-hour long movie. 2 hours is too long. An hour, we're pushing it, but most movies are an hour long anyway. 2 hours long is the normal maximum runtime. But it's just really interesting to see people go, oh, I can't watch this because of its length, or I can't sit still because of its length. It's like, I don't know, for me personally, I mean, I understand the runtime's important, but for me personally, I don't look at the runtimes. I look at the movie and go, okay, is this something I'm going to sit through? Is this something I'm going to enjoy? Has anything in the synopsis or the trailer or the poster gone, ooh, Laura, you will love this. You have to get your ass in the seat. Yes. And then I'll get my cinema ticket and be like, 10 a.m. start. Ooh, doesn't finish until 3 p.m. Alright, let's do this. Make sure I got 1,001 snacks because I'm going to get hungry. Let's go. Like, I know with me, if I don't bring enough snacks with me, I'm going to get hungry. But I'm going to sit through the whole last movie and be like, I need food, I need food, I need food. But no, it's just a very interesting conversation to have. And it's an interesting way to look at movies. And obviously runtime is important because people plan their lives around movies. You know, some people are like, okay, this movie goes for 3 hours long. Is it enough time for me to get the kids? Is it enough time for me to go grocery shopping? Is it enough time for me to see before I have to go to other appointments? So I completely understand the purpose of a runtime. But I just think it's very interesting for people to like straight up avoid 2 hour plus long movies because it's like, you've seen them. You just haven't realized it. Or at least for the most part anyway.